Hello. Hello, Facebook and Instagram. My name is Andrés Bustamante. I'm here with Turnip Green Creative Reuse. We're doing a fundraiser for the nonprofit and also a beautiful art show with wonderful artists Linda Beatty, thank you, and Susan Hilderbrand. And we're going to talk a little bit about art. We're going to talk a little bit about their process. We're going to talk a little bit about what their work means to them, and we'll see where that goes. So welcome to Turnip Green Creative Reuse's live, socially distanced art exhibit. So yeah, awesome. So I'd love to, Susan, this is your piece. I'd love to talk a little bit about it. I know that you use a lot of found items. In your bio, I read that you use crushed eggshells as well. I'd love to hear a little bit about your process.
Yeah, so I use eggshells, and this particular one had a lot of pebbles that I use. And so what I typically do is I take a wooden panel and I use molding paste on it, and I throw the rocks on there and let it dry. And then this particular one also has quite a few eggshells on it. And then after it dries, then I chose this particular very heated color scheme with the dark red, the very intense reds and yellows and greens to create that complement, and called it fireflower. And the most yeah, thank you. The most important thing is just to let it dry before you add a new color. And then I experimented with a frame around it just to make it red, just to kind of see how that would do. And I kind of liked the effect of that.
Right.
So.
But when you see it in person, I know that it's hard to appreciate the beauty of the work through the camera lens. But when you see it in person, really, what you can see is a lot of beautiful texture, ins and outs. It's almost like an abstract planet, right? And you called it Fireflower, which is really neat and adds to the piece a lot.
Thank you very much.
And I love the lime green colors, and your work. Actually, both of your works actually really speak to my personal color palette when I create art as well.
Awesome.
So I really enjoy it and love the abstract landscapes that you're creating here.
Yeah, I kind of saw like a flower, like kind of from the desert, but it was just from my imagination, really. But it was it's really a heated piece, so a lot of warmth to it.
It's got a lot to lead the eye and the imagination. Same for this one. Actually, this was one of my favorites. I think it's one of your strongest pieces in the show.
Thank you.
Sacral Chakra Mystery. I'd love to hear the heart behind your work here.
This was just a very simple piece. It just took only a couple of hours, really, and it came out really well. I'm really happy with it. It's the orange for the second chakra, and this one was the one where I was the most haphazard with just throwing the rocks on there and letting it dry, and then I really wanted to try to get the orange color for the most part with some yellow, but mostly orange because I love orange. It's for the second chakra, and it was a very quick piece, and it was just kind of spontaneous.
So your work talks a lot on about topics about your spirituality and almost like a different combination of world religions in a way, but your experience of your spiritual path. I'd love to hear a little more about that.
Yeah, well, maybe if I do another show, I would probably continue this theme of the chakras. I kind of started it in the show, but it's something that I'm really interested in exploring some more with the colors. Because I like to, when I see this, I had this in my bathroom at home, and it just helps with creativity because I can just feel the colors and kind of meditate on it, and I found that to be something I really like.
I like that. Yeah, I think what I love about neon, bright, popping colors is almost the ethereal feeling of it, almost the transcendent vibe it gives off, which it speaks a lot to me in my work as well. But yeah, I love it. And again, you have a lot of texture and abstract landscape almost. You're just in a different dimension there. So I enjoy that.
You really get it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. And I really enjoyed reading your bio as well,
Thank you.
and just your journey with creativity. And Linda, tell me a little bit about Meditation Garden. I also really connect to this piece a lot, but I'd love to hear from you what you want to portray.
Well, I wrote about this piece that during the quarantine, I wanted to make a place in my backyard for thinking and praying and meditating. And it doesn't look like this, but it feels like this. So that's really where it came from. I wanted to use bright colors and make it joyful because being in that space does make me feel joy and get close to my peaceful center. And it's about the flora and the fauna, you know, the animals that come around. I have a bunny that comes around frequently, and the butterflies and birds and so forth. I just wanted it to look joyful and peaceful at the same time. That's where the colors came from. I love the brightness of it, and the repeated smiling faces make me feel hopeful. And this is about music. Even when you're outside in nature, there's songbird music, bird song, and other things that we hear in nature. So it's about nature and that inner peace that we can get when we connect.
I love that. I love hearing it from you, because that's really what I understood when I started enjoying the piece. I really understood that it was this immersive, transcendental almost experience of peace and what some call heaven or Zen, for others nirvana, right? And I see that you have different imagery. So you have like more of a Catholic imagery, and then a little more Buddhist, but also just nature in general. And I almost feel like I'm transported to a new landscape when I'm enjoying this piece, because you're in a garden. You have the beautiful butterflies, the birds, the colors just really engage your eye, and you have the when you look really close, you're able to enjoy the different textures almost of what's going on in the play, and you almost hear music because of the musical notes on there. It's a very beautiful piece.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's go talk about these other here on the left. Awesome. Linda, I really, again, this wonderful piece, again, transports me to another paradise. You call it the gift. What does it mean to you?
Well, the gift is, when it was finished, then I saw the angel.
Oh,
The angel.
I thought that was intentional.
Well, I made it intentional, but I mean, just the way the papers came together there, it suggested the outlines.
Yeah.
So that was the gift. I was just initially trying to make a girl who was at home in nature and enjoying all the beauty of nature. But as I was finishing it, I saw that these lines, if I just enhanced those lines, I'd have an angel. So that was the gift.
That's beautiful. I see the angel very clearly there, and also glowing in the back. There's glowing in the back. Yeah, if the audience were able to see it through the computer and feel the piece, it does almost transport you to this fairy tale land of just peace and tranquility, or what some would call in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, equanimity, right? So very beautiful again. And does she represent someone in your life? This little lady?
Just, not someone in particular, just a female, you know. I sometimes think that women are more capable of the sensitivity required for deep spirituality, and she represents that to me.
That's beautiful. In my own spiritual practice, like I understand what you're saying, because I feel that my feminine energy also connects in that way to nature, to creativity, to the ethereal, right? So that's
Right.
very beautiful. Thank you for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
And you also have this beautiful wild heart radicals piece.
Yes.
It has a lot of little beautiful quotes. I'd love to hear your story.
This is all about women. It's all about women. My idea is that women should support one another.
I agree.
You know, I believe in cooperation rather than competition. Susan and I are a good example of that. We work together really well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot here about that. These are all different women that I just found little pictures of in old books. And even on this one, I tried to make different skin colors in here so that it would be known that this was to represent all women. And I wrote here, we are more alike than we are different. And I believe that's true.
I love that. What really, closing up on this piece, what really strikes me here is actually a conversation that I had recently with the grandmother of my wonderful girlfriend, and she said something that goes along this line: I laugh in the face of impossible.
Right.
So like, she said that women can do anything. Women can be anything and anyone they desire to be and they feel themselves to be. So, I love that. Thank you. All right, let's continue on. Susan? Make contact with the divine / mysterious ones. You had me at divine and mysterious. I'd love to hear all about it.
This one is a really fun piece because it can stand by itself even from very far away. I had it in my house about 40 feet away and I could see it like really well as it pops. But these little, I just wanted to let you know what the materials are. So the little beads there are like when you get these things in the mail that say like do not eat, and then these little bags, if you open those up, there's these silicone beads and you can save those, and that's what I did with all those different kinds of textures on there. And so I had different kinds of those do not eat gel beads. Like there's like dark ones and light ones that you can use, and so I tried to just dump a lot on there, see what that would do.
That's awesome. I love your experimentation. I think that's what keeps art and the art practice interesting in my experience. It's seeing what would happen with this. What if you know, always thinking what if. I really enjoy your pieces. I would love to see your work on larger scales, continuing the same themes and the same language that you use.
Yeah.
In larger scales, I can see it being very successful. It already is.
I always think this one should be a little larger. Like if I had done it over again, maybe on a larger one. Although it's nice, small, but it does kind of almost ask to be a little bit larger, I think.
And you know, something beautiful about this one, though, it also, I'd love to be able to translate this to the viewers online, but it's almost like icing, like a beautiful landscape of icing on a cake, and you almost want to dive in there and eat it. And there's just so much fun happening. Pointy areas, and then some deep areas, some dark purple, some pinks coming out, and some areas that really does appear to feel like you're just about to dig into icing on a delicious cake.
It does. It totally does. I agree.
Yeah, that's really fun. That's really fun. Thank you for sharing this piece. All right, let's move on. Linda, I feel like I'm picking on you a little bit, but in a positive way. I think you have a very strong piece here, and I connect to it a lot. I actually really connect to both pieces. I'd love to hear from you.
Okay, and this one, what I really had in mind were the school shootings. We haven't had, since schools have been closed for coronavirus, thank God there haven't been any more, but I get so distressed over the school shootings in particular, but any young people who lose their lives to violence. And I had all these drawings of my students that I had done. So I started tearing them up, tearing them out, and putting them together. And my students were all races, all colors, all religions. And I wouldn't want any one of them to be hurt, you know. And so I just wanted to show a diversity of who gets hurt, and they shouldn't be. I have some text in here. This one says fragile. This says protect. And there's another one over here that says don't crush. I drew a tree in the background to represent the country and a brick wall here to represent the city. I made all of them crying. And we also have dripping blood. This is an issue that I feel very strongly about. I think our society needs to protect the children. I know they can't vote, but they deserve our care.
Absolutely.
And this one is about the young children who were separated from their families, the immigrants who were separated from their families, which is the most inhumane thing I have ever heard of. And it's called Who Will Rescue the Children? And it says, here, H-E-A-R, I am. Who is speaking for these children? And there are still some being held. There are still some separated from their families. So this is covered with tulle, and it has a lock on it, and the American flag behind it. So that's a statement about the immigrants who are being held in captivity.
That's a very powerful statement, and I'm grateful that you are brave to touch on these topics that a lot of people are not willing to go there. As an immigrant myself, I was born in Colombia, South America. Speaks volumes, and seeing just the connection in these works, the diversity, the tears, the blood, the cages, the suffocation of freedom and life and liberty, right? Which is what this country represents, right?
Right, and in this country.
In this country,
In this
exactly.
country.
It's happening today. Things that we would think, like, if they had happened, decades ago, like, yeah, that's horrible. What would we do now, right? But it's happening now. We can do something about it. We can speak about it, right? And of course, your work is very motherly, very protective, very loving, very spiritual, which your nurturing love wants to protect the children, wants to speak up for them. So thank you for giving us a voice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Let's continue. All right, Susan. All right, so I'd love to hear about this piece. I'd love to hear what. I know that you put a lot of care and intention and love into your titles. I'd love to hear about the title and what it means to you. What does it represent?
Yeah, so this title is the most complicated of any of my titles, but it's just an idea that Jung had about the idea that when people dream, they access the collective unconscious. And so so my thought was that it's possible that when people dream and decipher that dream, that they're solving problems not for only themselves, but also other people as well. And so my thought was, so I had this in a bedroom. I thought, well, I'll call it those that dream our dreams for us. And I was thinking about all these. And I felt like I had too many textures, but then I realized that it was okay. Just like made a nice flow there and very zen. And I really, actually, what I want to say about this piece is I like it next to Linda's pieces. We really had a good collaboration there with the way that came out. But anyway, that's a very complicated title, but I just stuck with it because I really liked it.
Thank you for pointing that out, because yeah.
It's like a zen corner.
It does captivate me there. Yeah, no. I love that you mentioned Carl Jung and his work, his philosophy. in the collective unconscious. You know, I definitely connect on that conversation on all of us being part of the whole and the one, the source, right? The source of life, the breath of life.
Yeah.
And the conversation being had here between the purples and the yellows and the tans with Linda's work and the hills, you know, the hills and all the texture that you have here and all the texture you have here.
Yeah.
And I see both of you definitely are using beads,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun.
And the square, just to give you a quick commentary on the square, all of my pieces are squares. So the square is very stabilizing, and I just was drawn to that with these pieces in particular, and that it's just a stable shape, but it's a repetitive theme in my pieces.
I love it. Beautiful. Thank you. I mean, I could talk about every single piece. I love all the work here. But let's close out. Let's see. I mean, this one just keeps talking to me, Linda.
Well, I do want to tell you something.
I would
about
love to
this
hear
one.
about it.
I had an idea. I began to see the photographs from the Hubble telescope
Oh, beautiful.
in magazines and catalogs, books about it in catalogs. And that's what this is. This is from the Hubble, that inner circular part there. And I had an idea, because they looked heavenly to me, to combine the Hubble telescope photographs with religious icons.
Yeah.
So I made several, but I just brought this one. That's how it started, with the Hubble photograph, and then I call it Madonna of the Universe. You know, I added Mary and the baby Jesus. And this was a circle that I cut out of a book that I colored. And then I had painted papers that I added, and then I tried to draw what's in the background to go along with the Hubble, with the colors in the Hubble photograph. And my granddaughter says, I know what this is. This is a baby going into a wormhole.
Yeah. I like that. I like that interpretation.
And it really kind of is. From across the room. She said, a baby going into a wormhole. But it's a way that I sometimes picture spiritual entities, you know, in the heavens.
Very, very beautiful. It's captivating. Yeah, the circle really draws your eye in, and just the colors, the touches of gold that you have in there. The mom and the son, the mother and the son. Very beautiful piece. Thank you. I guess really what I love about the show is it's so cohesive, and both of you do work together really well. In the fact that the conversations you're having are all about the transcendent state of humanity, of existence, right? Be it through religious language or more spirit-based practice languages. So it's very interesting. And to me, art is another spiritual language, right? It's a way of expression, right? Of creation, using the power of our creative minds, which is something I love to talk about, is the infinite power of our creative minds that draws you in and out and to create and to experiment. So I love the sense of experimentation that both of you just continue having. So I say go bigger and keep experimenting and going. And I'd love to hear any questions, any Q&As that the audience here and the gallery may have. That way we can answer, and then later we'll take some questions from Facebook.
Well, Linda's 10-year-old granddaughter wanted to know how you artists come up with the ideas behind your pieces.
Well, I can tell you this. Everything I make, every time I make something, I get an idea for another one. It's a never-ending process. I told my sister to put on my grave, here lie the ideas. Because there's not enough time in my life to do everything that I could think of. So they're just there.
They build off of each other.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Infinite creativity.
Yeah. And I think that having the building blocks there with the materials really helped me with rocks and eggshells and the beads, and so just sort of having a process of throwing all that on there and letting it dry. And then I would always work on at least 2 pieces at a time so that I would not obsess over one, and so that seemed to be really helpful just to me personally, and that got me to create more pieces and not just like being nitpicky about how one was doing. So that was really a key thing for me.
Perfect. And then we had another question regarding just the relationship of both artists. Did you guys know each other before this show?
Well, we met through the Nashville Collage Collective, and we had attended some of their, they don't really have meetings, but they have kind of work sessions where people get together and everybody works on their own thing, but they share ideas and we get to see what each other is doing. And we had met there in the beginning, and then Susan told me she had a show coming up, but she needed a partner because Turnip Green always does 2-person shows. So we were beginning to establish a friendship before the quarantine hit, and we talked about having the show together one time. We had one meeting before we were quarantined, and then the rest was emails and phone calls. So. And we didn't see each other's work until we got here to hang the show. And it was such a fun experience to hang the show because they did mesh together so well. So we meant to collaborate more, didn't get to because of coronavirus, but are really pleased with how it turned out.
Very much so. Very pleased.
Yeah, of course. And then Andres, this is actually about you. We have some people in the audience who are unfamiliar with you and your work. Do you want to just speak a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. you did such a great job. They want to know. So.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. My name is Andrés Bustamante. I'm from Colombia, Cali, Colombia. I'm 30 years old. I moved to the States when I was 10 years old, and my practice, my practice started with graffiti art. When I was in high school, I got in trouble for it, and then I needed a new medium to express myself, right? So a young kid had a lot of energy and just wanted to find ways to express that creativity. So I explored photography, fashion design, painting, sculpting. Currently, my body of work involves using plexiglass acrylic, which I cut and paint and melt and fold. And I had a show here at Turnip Green Creative Reuse. The wonderful people here at Turnip Green allowed me to have a show here, along with another wonderful artist. Y'all might love her work as well and connect to her. Sarah Hart Landolt. She's wonderful, makes some beautiful work, and I picked her to be my co-artist here. But yeah, so my process involves a lot of experimentation as well. That's why I connect to your work. And a lot of inner reflection, right? Looking within the inner mind, the infinite mind, and the infinite spirit, to bring something of value from that place from that meditative place, from that place of seeking here, so that others may have a glimpse of a different realm that goes beyond the flesh and bone. So that's in a more of a secular, non-religious language is what I attempt to use. I want to connect to all humans as I feel that all humanity is a reflection of divinity. But thank you all for asking about my work. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Andrés Bustm. But I'd love to bring it back to the wonderful work of Linda and Susan, which I'm really grateful to be hosting their show. And I want to remind everyone online that you can raise funds for Turnip Green Creative Reuse as well as support wonderful artists. You can purchase their work at turnipgreencreativereuse.org. So turnipgreencreativereuse.org. All of the funds will go to support an amazing nonprofit that helps with environmental issues. They basically they take donations and allow for artists to purchase materials, supplies at donation. Like they can offer a donation and then have paint or have fabric or have markers, have wonderful things. And I know I found some amazing things. Like we just found this amazing National Geographic magazine from the 80s that is really relevant to my girlfriend, and it's like really awesome. We found it here. So turnipgreencreativereuse.org. You can purchase artwork. You support the community and education. By supporting Turnip Green, you're educating the community on sustainable practices. You're educating the community on art and creativity, which, in my opinion, and maybe y'all will agree with me, it's important for us to empower one another creatively, right? Because our like Linda said, like there's so much creativity that's just waiting to pour out of us, right? So many things that we feel as humans, so much emotion, and it just needs to come out. It needs to be expressed. And I believe deeply that all humans are artists. And so turnipgreencreativereuse.org or at turnipgreencreativereuse. Do we have more questions?
Just a picture of everybody.
Okay, let's take a picture without a mask. Okay. Awesome. So, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Well done. Really beautiful art and well curated.
Thank you.
So many. That would be good.
That's awesome.
Says something.
Great.
Oh, thank you for inviting us.
At the very last,
This is
like,
the
minute
thing.
ago, here, they moved it right back here.
Those are great canvases too. Stay still too long in this place, you'll end up painting.
My pleasure.
We were not expecting.
It's like, it's out there. So maybe that can be like put on your website. If you could actually, yeah.
That is so fun. Are you kidding me? Wow, because that looks totally like it's designed to go together. That also. What makes these shine the way they do? What is shiny in there? Is it the gold underneath the stuff? Okay. It's really cool. It makes a lot of your work that one. Yeah, iridescent. That's interesting. Thank you for explaining that. And I thought, well, I've been throwing those around. recklessly away.
I take a lot of vitamins and they have those little packets. And I'm throwing them away and I should be saving them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone else is
You
doing
know what I'm saying?
Start a collection.
I'll come by and pick them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll start a whole collection.
Looks to me like
Very beautiful.
Is your back better? It's doing a lot better. Yes, the last couple days I've really turned the corner.
Good.
I'm so glad I was in bed for like 3 weeks. Like I was real concerned. Never had it that bad for so long. So I'm concerned that I might have a health problem or something, but it's done. And then I'm doing physical therapy on my own. Right now, I really don't, and I had to like really,
Just because I haven't
I like how it's blue.
produced a lot of work.
The Madonna of the Universe is just compelling.
Thank you. Thank you. It was fun to make.
So, as I heard you say, in the center is an actual photograph of a magazine.
It didn't post.
Yeah, it's from the Hubble.
Like people saw it, yeah. People were on there, but it like I couldn't say it didn't save, and then it didn't.
But
It was live only. It didn't post. It didn't post. With
She's like walking around the slide still, so.
On painted paper.
yeah, it looks I didn't have it.
Sure.
The recording.
How do I?
Just flag it down.
I know. It was great. This is my family, so almost my daughter.
Hello. So were you the one who asked a question about where the ideas came from? I thought you were going to say, how much of your art do you leave for your grandchildren?
I enjoy posting.
Oh, they know they
I
can have
haven't
anything
posted
they want. They like my art supplies.
That's why I spent the night. Your house spent like
Yeah, we had an artist
4 nights there.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Very special.
Wow.
Next week I spent 5 nights.
Show no.
Well, in the summertime, we don't see Yeah.
like this one. I
Next to the watches.
Well, that would be up to your mom.
Mommy's thinking, 2021?
You see with the watches. Oh, I'm so sorry.
She just told me.
The sleeping baby and the sleeping puppy?
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I thought so too.
They get it all the time.
So many tools.
I guess it's like leaves, you painted like little floated leaves.
It's the door. This is the door.
I thought it was my coffee.
This is open.
Yep, we have these two.
Oh.
I asked him.
Was it?
It was earlier today.
Oh, earlier today.
Online.
Yay. Wow.
So Jennifer, do you think we may have that file? Perfect. But it will be 7? Okay. Yeah, because mine didn't work. So I was recording it on Instagram,
the signal was so bad.